So let me hit record. Welcome everyone. I hope you are having a great day. I am so excited to introduce you if you have not seen, or maybe you have, but IEP and Me and able to see their platform. I was a former intervention specialist, and there was a lot of roadblocks and barriers that caused a lot of burnout for me as an educator. And so, what I love about their platform is it makes it super easy to collaborate on different documents like IEPs or even maybe gifted, helping all of those different types of students. Parents can access, students have access, school admin, the regular ed teacher. And I know one fear of mine as well was as a teacher sharing the document and the wrong person getting a hold of it, right? Because I shared a lot of my documents in Google Drive. And again, if I just had that fear of like if someone or I had the sharing permissions wrong to one document, just how nerve-wracking I was. And so what this platform does is it allows the team to have access to the resource. And there's also a really cool matrix that I can't wait for you all to see that kind of will help general ed teachers, if the special education teacher is not free, to be able to see how that works and how they can support and what accommodations which student needs based on period, based on accommodation topic. So I am so excited to bring Claretta here to share even more about IEP and me.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, and hello, everyone. So nice to be here with you all. Excited to share with you all a little bit about IEP and me and our Collaborate Ed platform. So in just a moment, you should be able to see my screen. There we go. And yeah, we have a software to really empower you all as educators, to empower your students and empower your families with the special education process. But what would be really helpful for me as we jump into it is if you could take a second, if you're on a device, just to hop in the chat and say your name, where you're coming from, like what state you're in, and what your role is with the school, with special education, or with the students in your life. And as you take a moment to do that, if you're near a device, again, I'm Coretta Martin. I'm the co-founder and chief strategy officer of IEP and Me. I am a former educator. I taught elementary school, middle school, and high school, worked in school leadership, and most recently as a chief academic officer. And in all my roles, really had the blessing to support special education in many capacities and see some of the needs we all need as educators. And then as I connected with Bridget, my co-founder, who may be joining us in a bit, was able to really build out a product that isn't a software that we have to figure out how to use as educators. Really, an education software that is built for us and by us. So excited to share more with you all today. And thank you for those of you dropping in the chat who you are and why you're here. So first, I'll quickly run through our software and how we support with the compliance process. You likely are already using some sort of special education management system at your district or at your school. So this is something that could either replace that system or work on top of that system. So one big thing we want to help improve with our school level is compliance. And as Stephanie mentioned, we are a platform that allows customized access for all team members. So parents, students, school admins, special educators, case managers, general education teachers, all can log into one place to find the information. This way, we know that all the information and the most up-to-date information is in the right place and in the right hands for the right people all the time to really support with that collaboration, communication, and eventually student self-advocacy. We streamline and monitor the evaluation process through a tool that gives you this dashboard to see what are the evaluations coming up for any school sites here, and also to help with writing through that evaluation flow to ensure that we can streamline and monitor the evaluation process in the same place that we can write fully compliant IEPs. Here you have your dashboard when you log in to see your caseload. In addition to your caseload, you can see your students' due dates, your progress bar on how well you've been doing with keeping up with your IEP before our due dates, and the ability to change the status of the IEP. And then as you go through to write your IEP, unlike a lot of the systems we've all used throughout our careers, we've really created the TurboTax of the whole process, making sure you don't forget any aspect of the IEP writing process, and you have all the information you need to have a fully compliant IEP. And you can do this with more than just IEPs. We have the capacity to support individual learning plans, 504 plans, multilingual learner plans, gifted and talented plans, MTSS plans, and more. So it's really exciting to have all these plans housed in one place, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a bit. And not only can you write these plans in this space, you're able to draft your plan in this space. And that's really important, especially in the today when we have a lot of concerns around data privacy, wanting to make sure that we're not putting the wrong information in the wrong place. But also, a lot of us just need time to draft our IEPs. So folks are using Google Docs, Word, other sources to draft your IEP. But with Collaborate Ed, you're able to draft your IEP within our system, but only you will have access to the draft. No one else can see your progress until you switch that document over to internal review, where it can then be accessible for a coordinator like you or a school-based team to review in the planning meeting and see, okay, how are we all thinking about these goals? Are we ready to now put this in external review status, where parents then have access to see the draft of the IEP in advance of the IEP meeting? And then after all the e-signatures come in, after everything is complete, then you can move the document to finalize, where the document is now ready to share out with the rest of the school team. And we're able to create school customizable forms and e-signatures so that you can complete the whole process within one system with ease to save time on dropping checks boxes and signature lines and all the other things that sometimes hold us up on the logistics end. And probably my favorite thing about our IEPs is we take the IEP document when it's finalized and we put it in this really easy to read format. So as you can see, if I'm looking for the goals, I can quickly click on goals. If I'm looking for accommodations, I can quickly click on accommodations and see all the information I need, and then click down to get all the other information depending on what it is. And we can also do the same with the evaluation report, making sure that not only does everyone have access to the IEP, but just in case you're not an expert in reading those 40-page documents, it also makes it really, really easy and digestible for not only special educators, but also general educators, admin, families, and students. As I go along, if you have any questions or wonderings, or you just love something I shared, feel free to drop it in the chat. We're also able to support with seamless service tracking. So we built a system that is very intuitive to use and is really trustworthy for both compliance monitoring and Medicaid reimbursements. So rather than creating a spreadsheet or another document to try to track all of our services and eventually translate them over to Medicaid reimbursement, we're able to do the whole process within our system to ensure that every single service provider has access to their records and are able to put certain information in just one time and then replicate it to create an ease and efficiency around this process, but still allowing administrators to be able to pool that data and process it for Medicaid reimbursement, or work with IEP and ME to do the Medicaid reimbursement process for you. We also are able to do progress reporting. We have comprehensive progress monitoring and reporting where you can do your progress reports. And what way that we set it up is you can both do it by student, which is the traditional way, or you can do it by goal area, where you can work on your behavior goals. Or if you have all your math data in front of you, you can go to math goals and fill out that data for each and every student, making this a little bit more of an efficient process. And it could be a little bit more consistent for providers, so you're not spending as much time with the labor of progress reports and can focus on really sharing the story of the student's progress, where they are and where they're headed next. And for administrators who are here on the call with us, we do have great user and permission access. We both sync with the student SIS so that you can pull that information directly from the student information system, including schedule changes and updates. But also you can go in and do that yourself as an administrator to do case management for case managers and for students, also adding team members who may not be in the SIS, like paraprofessionals or outside providers. And then pull any sort of customized report you may need at the district, school, or classroom level for your needs for assessments, testing, or just general data monitoring. So that's how we kind of handle compliance. That was a lot, and I'm going fast because I want to save time at the end for questions. But I want to talk about a few other things that we use where if you already have a system for writing your eligibility reports, writing your IEPs, that's fine. The features that I'll show you now are going to layer on top of that system. And they can help you go beyond compliance and really support with the implementation of our IEPs, 504s, and individual learning plans day to day in the classroom. So first, as I mentioned, everyone who needs access has access. Because we speak with the student information system, not only is it the case manager, but it's your students, your related service providers, your general education teachers, and this updates overnight so that the correct teacher has the correct access. We also do instant translation. So if you have students, teachers, or family members who may prefer to read in a language outside of English, they can translate the documents, not just the headings, not just the static information, but the details, including any comments that are left, so that they can best understand and make sure that the IEPs are truly accessible without having to spend so much money on frequent translation. And we're able to do this for about 200 languages, including languages that use both letters and characters. And we're mobile optimized for family members who may not have a device at home or teachers who are walking around the classroom with an iPad or a cell phone. All the information is mobile optimized for you to both read, but also type and sign e-signatures, sign via e-signature, all on a mobile optimized device. And in the world of artificial intelligence, we have a lot of AI-powered support. Our backend for onboarding is powered via AI as well as that translation tool. But we also have AI-powered support here where we have a help guide to help you navigate the system. So as you're getting used to Collaborate Ed, trying to figure out how to use the platform, you can use that tool to ask any questions you may have about our platform. And if the AI isn't able to support you, a messaging source for you to reach out directly to someone on our team for special education directors, hopefully to save you some time to not have to answer every single question and for us to help you and help your team out with being successful on our platform. We also have an AI assistant named Eddie, where you can get instant expert advice on learning and thinking differences. And we've built out Eddie with a partnership with understood.org. So you know that you're not just pulling information from an open source AI tool that's pulling from the World Wide Web, where we find a lot of misinformation on disabilities. We're only pulling information from understood.org, who has had decades of research on special education, learning and thinking differences, and will actually link the sources to their responses as you ask questions. This is really helpful for families and general education teachers who are still learning about how to best support students with learning differences. After we handle accessibility, we really want to think a lot about collaboration. How do we use our tool to collaborate more across our team? So as I mentioned before, we have all sorts of learning plans on our system and they all live in one place. So when you're lesson planning, but IEPs are over here, MTSS is over here, 504s are in some other system. We're able to bring all these learning plans, no matter where they're written, into one place so that across teams, you're able to make sure that your general education teachers and your special education teachers have access to all the information they need as they plan and collaborate. We also have scheduling support, so you never forget a team member on emails and scheduling, and make sure that everyone that needs to be invited to the table is at the table. We try to make these IEPs interactive and collaborative, so we've built out a comment input feature where folks are able to leave updates on how students are doing, link with their LMS to include assignments, or even upload photographs of a student assignment to demonstrate how the student is doing on particular goals and to begin that conversation. So it's a little bit more anecdotal data without just having to wait for that one time of year for the annual IEP meeting or 504 meeting. And at the end of the day, we want to save teachers time. So we think a lot about efficiency. Because all these plans are in one place, rather than them being static documents, let's make them dynamic documents. So on our platform, you're able to still search and filter through the plans. So if I am doing my seating chart, I can type in seating accommodation, and all the students who have a seating accommodation will pop up, and it'll help remind me who I need to keep in mind as I create a new seating chart. If I need to know who has a behavior plan, so I can make sure the data is up to date for the week, I can look up students with behavior plans. I can see who needs extra time and quickly have that list of students and not have to memorize every single IEP that often comes in a folder and is sitting in my file cabinet. Also, we know that all groups aren't linked to the SIS. As a special education teacher or a general education teacher, you may have a small group of students you intentionally pull in math class or during station work in ELA. You're able to create your own small groups and sections and then have those students' IEPs connect there so you can constantly go back to that class that you may use, even though it's not a formalized class in your student information system. And then once you do that, we have some tools like an auto-created accommodations matrix, where you're able to see, okay, within each class, who are the students and what accommodations do they need? And rather than just making one in August or hoping it doesn't update when the new IEP is finalized, we update this overnight when new IEPs are finalized so that you have the most up-to-date information on who needs what in your classroom. And this, again, is shared with families, students, general education teachers, and special education teachers. So the onus can be on the whole team to make sure students get what they need. Also, depending on what state you're in, there are different mandates around tracking accommodations. We've built out this accommodations tracker so you can quickly confirm if a student has received their accommodations in the day, or if they have not received their accommodations in a day. Not only can you mark that, you can jot down a reason why and collect that data. And it's easy to print out just in case you need it for an upcoming IEP meeting to show or demonstrate a student's need for an accommodation, or in the unfortunate situations of due process, you're also able to pull that data to be able to demonstrate what has happened within the school environment. And we've built out similar trackers for behavior tracking. This aligns with behavior intervention plans and making sure you have those high quality plans for students. By putting it in our system, you're able to share that data across the team and also be able to track it in a digital space so that we can go back, see how students are doing, click on the number of total trackers as an administrator, and look at the data at a higher level way, moving away from paper that can sometimes get lost in translation. So that was a lot. I went really fast, but I know we only have about 10 minutes left, and I wanted to be sure to leave time to answer questions. I'm also going to drop in the chat here this link, and it's to our demo. Our demo is a bit of a sandbox. So sandbox meaning it's very generic. It's not specific to any state. It's very specific to North Shore High School from Mean Girls. So if you look through it and you're wondering, oh, can you do this for my state? Or, oh, can you do this for my district? The answer is probably yes. We just very intentionally made this generic so you can get a feel of what our platform looks like. So I've dropped that link in the chat. Feel free to log in there and play around with it. And I will stop sharing so I can answer any questions that you all have.
Not all at once, everybody. I think it's just the three of us for now. Stephanie, Matt, or the four of us. And then some AI note takers.
Yes, and we'll for sure send out the recording as well. So the link that was up on the screen, just go back and pause the video if you're watching the recording and type that in to your browser. And I'll also include it in the email follow-up for those that couldn't attend. But make sure you go in and try out the site. I think my favorite part is the trackers. I love just how everything is in one place because as a teacher, I mean, I just remember having to go multiple different places and it was just too much. It was too much to keep up with.
All right. Stephanie, has anyone
Well,
that
hold on.
is
Should we
sorry,
pause
go
the
ahead.
recording?
Yes, we can pause
I
the
was gonna see if
recording.
some people were if anyone had like brought up anything that you were like preemptive questions in your group that might be good for us to talk through before we end the recording.
Let's see. So we've got coordinators of digital learning that signed up. We also had like teaching and learning directors, vice principals, teachers, but I feel like we kind of showed how it can support all subgroups. um, media specialist. So I thought that was an interesting one because they're probably seeing all of the students coming into the media center. And so again, I just love how they can quickly filter through instructional coaches. So I don't know if you have any advice for like any of those type of subgroups.
I mean, yeah, I think it really depends on the district. I think what's really important and crucial with our product is that we are really open to customizing for specific school needs. So really excited to reach out to those individuals personally, learn about the unique needs and hopes for their districts, and then we can talk more through what that looks like. Um, because yes, in all of those roles and all those capacities, special education, 504 compliance is very, very relevant.
Awesome. So before we pause the recording, if you have any questions or need anything, feel free to reach out and then I can definitely connect you with Bridget or Coloretta, and we can either set up a follow-up meeting or discuss kind of next steps of what this might look like in your district, because again, it can take off a lot of load and headaches for all of those different stakeholders, because the IEP process is a big load for a lot of teachers, and sometimes it's very stressful. Again, like me, I was always so nervous that somebody was going to get access to something that they weren't supposed to have access to, where this takes care of it. It's all in that platform, it's secure, it's safe. So, again, if you have any questions or need anything, please reach out to me and I will make sure to connect you with Coloretta or Bridget. But thank you so much for giving us that overview. And I am excited to dive in and just see a lot more.